Corner Talk. We are here with Abdul-Kareem Al-Selwady, one of the latest recipients of the UFC contract through Dana White's Contender series after a very dominant performance over the highly touted British prospect, George Hardwick. And yeah, you're joining us from Texas right now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
How has everything been? Has it sunk in yet?
Yeah, it's been sinking in every day, better and better. And then, I start to like realize right now it's like, all right, every day that passes, it sinks in more, but then I start thinking about, okay, what's next right now?
Yeah.
I don't just stay focused on the past, whether it's a good thing or bad thing. So right now I'm just looking forward to what's next.
hmm You got a lot of ambitions. We talked about, and you've been talking about UFC Abu Dhabi as well, which is coming up soon. Think are you like training to sort of be prepared just in case you get called up on like a
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah. No,
yeah.
there was no time wasted. As soon as I got off the plane and I got here to Texas the next day after the fight, I spent the whole day at like a recovery center, which is where I was recovering this whole camp, just doing like your basic
Mhm.
sauna, ice, compression, because you just get a lot of like inflammation after a fight, after the weight cut.
Yeah.
Your body just goes through so much. So I did recovery, and then the next days up until now we're mixed half between recovery and training. So I am back to training full time. Not that I have to, but I get really motivated, after every win to do even better. I don't
Mhm.
get comfortable. I don't think in my head like, oh yeah, you deserve to rest. Talk to me before the fight. I'll tell you like, hey man, I'm gonna take 3 months break after this. I'm done. Because I
Yeah.
just give it my all. Like I dedicate my whole day, 7 days a week, just to train and to get better. So you get kind of tired and overwhelmed, but once you get that win, you're just like, all right, let's do it again.
Yeah, yeah. Because of the momentum, right? It's like there's
Yes.
some sort of momentum in there, and yeah. Um because you talked I don't know if it was before, but also after the fight, you talked about the dark place that you go to sort of like while preparing, That what was sort of the hardest part about getting ready for this fight in particular?
I'd say the hardest part of this fight, like aside from the training, like the training is the hardest, obviously, and the weight cut, but like specifically to this fight was coming up with the right game plan that I was gonna take for this fight because I went on different phases of this camp where I was like, just gonna wrestle this guy, like just like how he's very good in striking and he's gonna strike, you're
Mhm.
very good in wrestling, so use the wrestling. It's gonna be, just who's gonna outwill the other. Now, I knew I was going to outpace him. I knew even though he knocks his guys out in the fourth round, like he has good cardio. He talks about having good cardio. I still knew I was gonna outpace him and outmatch him in the physical part of MMA, but I wanted to leave a big stamp on it. I didn't want to wrestle him in a way that was gonna be boring, and that's just not my style. I've never had a boring fight. I
Mhm.
wanted it to be very exciting. And this is the most opponent that I've ever studied. And it was a little stressful because I like to focus on myself. I don't like to focus on my
Yeah.
opponent. But it was like homework from my coach. He just made me watch videos and give him notes. And he would watch the videos, but he'd just make sure I give him notes to see if I was watching or not. And it was just like, it was just like a long camp, 3 months. So it's like when I get a fight, give me a fight a year from now, I'm not gonna take it easy the first 6 months or first 9 months and then train hard the last 3 months. I'll just start going crazy, train a year out. So as soon as I knew about
Yeah.
this fight, I was just giving it my all. So it made it seem very long.
Mm.
So definitely, and then the closer I got to the fight, the game plan just started to switch. The strategy started to switch. I started to see more openings and other things that I'm doing. When you spar over and over getting ready for a fight, you start to see things more. So at first, I just kept going for takedowns, kept going for takedowns. My teammates, my sparring partners are all, high level fighters. So they're not dumb people either. And
Mhm.
they just started like really defending my takedowns really well. Like, they just started defending the takedowns. So what do you do whenever you run into an issue or a problem, you find another way. So I started to fake my takedowns because they're expecting them, and I'd come back with like striking combos. And it
Yeah.
started to work so well because they'd always think I was going to wrestle, which was my game plan. And I'd always hit them with strikes. So I was like, you know what? Let's do this. Like, let's make this guy think we're going to wrestle.
Uh-huh.
And then we hit him with strikes. And it helped that in his interviews, I just saw like one or two that someone sent me. He would say stuff like, "Oh, Abdul, he doesn't really have anything special. He's just a wrestler, boxer. It's not like he's some southpaw karate guy, crazy striker." And
Mhm.
it got in my head where I was like, okay, so he thinks I'm just a wrestler, boxer. He doesn't know the type of dynamic striking that I have. When you train at Fortis MMA and you have to imitate so many different types of styles and fighters out there to help out your opponents, you end up learning all those styles. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use this style against this guy because he's not expecting it at all. But at the
So,
same time, I'm going to show him what he's expecting. Like, he's expecting a takedown. I'm going to act like I'm going for the takedown, but then I'm just
yeah.
going to keep surprising him. And that was the goal. And honestly, I thought I was going to strike with him like for a few minutes and then eventually take him down like 2 minutes later, 3 minutes later. I was like, it's gonna happen. Like, I'm gonna
Mhm.
take him down each and every round. It's just a matter of when and how bad do I need that takedown? How bad do I need to rely on it? Like, I knew I could rely on my wrestling at any moment if I needed to.
Mm.
But as the fight was going, I was like, oh, like I could totally stay over here with this guy. Like I don't even need the wrestling. And then there was a few times where I just used it, and it keeps the striking more effective. Where you don't just keep feigning because then he might get used to the feint. You make sure the wrestling threat is still there, so he's always worried about the wrestling when you feint. And that was
Yeah.
exactly the game plan.
So it made you feel extra comfortable just knowing that you had the wrestling in the back pocket, knowing that you weren't
Yeah,
actually going to use it, but it's like always the way out if you got hit hard or something like
exactly.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so you actually used his you played these mind games, so you actually used the interviews that you saw against him kind of like so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, hey, if you want to be such a viral fighter and post videos every day, you got to be more aware of what you're putting out there. Like, this guy was literally
Yeah.
breaking down his fights and posting them. You know what I mean? Like,
The,
breaking them down as the fight is going on. He's saying what's going on in his head. He's saying what hurts him. He's saying what bothers him. He's saying, if he's going
damn.
against a wrestler, he's doing this, this, and that, so the wrestler can't go in. He's saying things. I mean, he's very smart. Like, one thing I
Yeah.
remember he was saying, like, he was saying wrestlers, they'll always throw feints and they'll try to catch you on your heavy on your lead leg or something. Like, wrestlers are heavy on their lead leg, so I make sure I hit their calf kick early on in the fight so they can't move and so they can't do this. And I just, I was ready for literally everything he does. He's always talking about his left uppercut, his body shot. He just
Hmm.
loves it so much. It's like almost in every post. And I made sure, like, I was almost begging him in the fight to keep throwing it because every single time he threw that body shot, he was getting hit with something real bad. And
Oh yeah.
at some point, I raised my hand. I was like, "Come on, go, go!" Like
So
I want some more of those.
I saw that.
So I was like, "Come on, like, let's go! Like, throw those shots that you've been saying." He didn't throw barely any calf kicks, but I was so ready for him to throw the calf kicks. Like I was like, "Come on, like, do these things."
But also
Uh, yeah.
yeah, no, when I was looking at it, I'm like, if you're talking about calf kicks, like the calf was never really there to be hit. It's like constantly moving. You're just like going side
Yeah.
to side all the time. It was like, man, if when I'm training, like or even hitting the bag or doing a pad session, like my calves are fried if I move like that.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
did your
yeah.
calves feel sort of at the end of the fight? Because it
You
was
see, look,
nonstop.
this is the first time someone asked me that question. It's very smart. It's so smart because the next
Yes.
like 2, 3 days after the fight, I had literally no sore muscles in my body except for my calves. Like, literally the only things, like, especially that fight night, like after the fight, we're like walking. I was like, guys, nothing is sore in my body. Like, my biceps, my triceps, my chest, my legs, nothing is sore except for my calves. I was like, I can't even feel them. And and credit to my coach. At any second that I wanted to just kind of stop in front of my opponent, he would yell like right, right, right,
Yeah.
left, left, left. Like he made me go. You know what I mean? And Coach
Right.
Safe is such a high level coach that I
Mhm.
really want to impress him, and I don't want to lose because I didn't listen to him. Because until now, I've never heard him say anything wrong. So it's like if I just follow what this guy's saying, I could win. If he's saying go right, I'm gonna go right. If he's saying clap your hands, I'm gonna clap my hands. You know, like
It was like blind, yeah, blind
yeah,
coachability. I heard the exact same thing from because my good friend, your teammate Sam Hughes as well, and she talks
yeah,
a lot about how he's actually changed her whole career basically, and she owes her rebirth kind of like to him. And what do you think the key is in Fortis MMA to that makes it so successful? Because to me, and you probably agree, Saif Saud, should have been coach of the year last year.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Like, you know, I don't have to talk so much about Coach Safe because, everything that he does speaks for itself. Like, there's so many MMA coaches out there, right? But who does the UFC choose to do the pay-per-view breakdowns?
Oh yeah.
Coach Safe. He does the
Yeah.
pay-per-view breakdowns for the championship fights and the big pay-per-view events. So that by itself speaks a lot. When you have that guy that breaks down fights for the UFC on ESPN be your head coach and give you a game plan, like there's nothing more to say about that. Other than
Yeah.
that, we got some really good coaches under Coach Safe that were previous fighters for Fortis MMA, retired fighters from the UFC. And if Coach Safe is not there, like he's cornering someone or anything, they are there. And
Mhm.
let me tell you, when they're there, it's almost like Coach Safe is there. The intensity's still up. Like everything is the same. So we have a really nice structured thing going on here in Fortis MMA. And
Mhm.
when I meet a lot of fighters and they come train with us, like Brandon Moreno and his crew, when they came, they're like, "This is amazing!" Like
Oh, that's true. They did come. Yeah, I remember.
like even when I talk to guys that train in Vegas that go to like the UFC PI and all of that, when I talk to them and I hear how they got everything set up, I'm like, man, my setup is way better. Like these guys, they have like all the pieces of the puzzle, but it's not organized. Like,
Mm.
the training is kind of random. The recovery, like what I would say what's really cool about training in Vegas is the PI is like everything but the training. Like I'm talking about the
Yeah.
nutrition, the recovery, the strength and conditioning, everything is there. Cool. But the actual training, like, fighters go and they don't go when they feel like it. The sessions are kind of random. You
Yeah.
want to train there, you got to book the place. Let's say someone already booked it at the time you want to go. So I'm happy with how the structure we have over here is very like firm. You don't skip sessions. You don't just go to training when you feel like it. I just fought. I'm right back in the gym because guess what? My teammates are fighting in a few weeks. So just
Yeah.
like how they were there to spar with me, I have to be there to spar with them. Do I feel like going to every training session right now? Absolutely not. But guess what? I still go because I just have to.
Got you where you are now. You know. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. No, we got good value because I put out some bets sometimes, especially Contender series. I love it, and the odds were just incredible. And it's
So you
just
said you made money off my fight?
we made good money off your fight.
Nice.
Me and the boys.
Congratulations.
Like yeah, all the
It's
Jordanians.
funny. I got a lot of messages like that. People saying like, "Oh, it's sending me screenshots and stuff." I was like, "Whoa, I never bet, but that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations."
Yeah, it's funny because also like one thing that also gave me more confidence was your own confidence. Like the first interaction we had, I was like trying to interview you before the fight, and you said let's do it after the win. And people say that all the time, but for you, it felt like it really was gonna happen. Like I
Yeah.
felt that
Yeah.
confidence there. And um, actually, we did two parlays, and the first one I don't know we lost because one went the distance or something, and the second one I was like we're counting on you, and it happened. Yeah. Um, but so you're born in Louisiana, you said?
So I was born and raised in Louisiana. Then I went to
Mhm.
Jordan in 2009, and from 2014 to 2016, it was like back and forth between Jordan and Dallas.
Okay.
So as soon as I finished my university over there in 2016, I moved here because I met Coach Safe in those interactions when I would go back and forth. There was no Fortis, there was no UFC fighters, there was nothing at the time. Just like how you look at that young, hungry fighter and you know he has the fire and the potential. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I saw in Coach Safe, but as a coach, just
Nice.
super hungry coach. Does not say what you want to hear. He says what you like what you need to hear. Super aggressive, but in a very smart and calculated way. Not like meathead aggressive. It was like very smart aggressive. The way he looked at fighting. It was like this crazy combination of like the physical training, but lots of the mental training. Like maybe we'll spend sometimes like 2 hours in the training session, but the training itself is just like an hour, 15 minutes. And he'll spend 45 minutes like just talking, but you'll leave there like a different mind, different person. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's worth it to just go there, even if you're injured. It's just worth it to go and just hear everything he has to say after every single training session. He has something to say.
I noticed he has a very specific style of coaching or giving
Yeah.
instructions in the corner, but it's also still catered towards every specific fighter. There's certain little things that are different in the way he talks towards every fighter, but the general thing is the same. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah. So that makes sense. How did you stay in touch with? Well, I mean, because you lived in Jordan for a while, so and then when you came back to America, how did you stay in touch with the culture, sort of, and because you proudly represent the country, you're proud to
So
represent Palestine as well.
So I moved here in 2016, but I kept fighting in the Middle East until
That's
2019,
true.
like
Yeah.
until the end of 2019. So even though I lived here in the States, I kept going back to Jordan, Bahrain, and Dubai, all those countries in the Middle East, either to fight or to commentate, to coach, to visit. So those were all helped me, stay close and stay relevant in the Middle East. And that's it. When you build such a big base over there, and you're one of the MMA pioneers, like I could literally say that about myself because
Sure.
there was no MMA really until 2012. So literally my first event, my first fight is when MMA was born in the Middle East. All the fighters that are fighting right now started like in 2015, 2016. Like
Yeah.
these guys that are all fighting right now in the Middle East, they've been watching me fight before they fight it. Like I've inspired, like I'm not saying this about myself, like I'm talking about people that reach out and tell me like from when I started MMA, there were young kids watching me on TV that later started to practice MMA and then started fighting like 5, 6 years after that. Like I sometimes feel like an old man hearing, young guys telling me like, I used to watch you on TV and wish I was an MMA fighter, and here I am today
Yeah,
making my
that's
pro
crazy.
debut, something like that. So I was like, that's amazing. And then so yeah, um, of course I'm gonna stay close to the culture, and because that's where I started MMA. I started MMA in the Middle East. I'm not like just an Arab, originally Arab, and I just say I'm Palestinian or Jordanian. Like I live there. I know
Hmm.
the culture. I know everything about Jordan. Maybe sometimes more than the States, and that's why it means a lot to me to fight in UFC Abu Dhabi because it's my chance to go back and fight in front of my people and just give them hope. Like here I am, guys. I'm one of you. We're
Yeah.
the same, and we can do it. Like we can do it over here on the biggest stage in the world, and it really really would mean a lot for me to like be able to do that in front of my guys. Like the amount of people that reached out to me this last fight, it's like insane. Like it
Yeah.
reminded me exactly where I came from. Like I started to remember the gyms like in the Hara and like the gyms here and there. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, everyone would send me screenshots. Like, remember when I told you were gonna make it in the UFC like 8 years ago? Like, remember when we said this? Remember when we did that? Like
Yeah.
screenshots of us in the gym in 2013, 2014. Like, it's amazing. It's like, man, I need to do this for our people. Like they need to see that they could do it as well.
Does it put extra pressure on you in a way?
No, it motivates the hell out of
Yeah.
me. No,
I feel
why,
like
why
with
the
Jordanians
pressure?
it is because there's very few. There's just so few that it just doesn't create pressure. It's more like
Man, at
Because
this
you're kind of
point,
like the you're laying the foundation, kind of. I know we've had Ali Al-Qaisi, who I think they should bring back actually, but it's like finally we see someone else that has like the potential to actually do some great things in the UFC.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
just there to participate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Man, at this point, man, like you want to look at anything, it could cause pressure. Like how does
yeah,
being the biggest underdog feel? Like, do you feel under pressure? Like, it just depends on what you consider pressure and how you handle pressure. Like, do
yeah.
you go under pressure and you fold and you just get scared and you freeze up? Or does pressure motivate the hell out of you to train so hard, to get focused, and to do the opposite of what everyone thinks is going to happen?
Mm,
So that's how I see pressure. I see pressure as a good thing in a way that not it makes me feel good, but it makes me go places and do things that make the end result better.
yeah.
It may seem uncomfortable, like, but it does give me motivation and make me a better person.
Yeah, and pressure comes with it's created by expectation. So if the pressure is higher, it means the expectation is higher, and you created that.
Yeah.
The way I
And
see
at the
it, I feel.
highest level, the
Yeah,
higher level you become, it's not a surprise anymore. It becomes something that you just have to get used to. Like
hmm,
everyone's expecting you to win, you win. It's not like,
yeah,
oh my God, he just won. Like that's it. Like with every fight, you level up, the expectations go higher, everything goes higher, but also you get better on how you handle those things.
absolutely. Yeah, and because we're a very proud nation, and it's like I always say that, like there's greatness. There's some people that'll never be great in terms of fame as well, or like what do you call it? Whatever it is, if they don't have a nation behind them. Like Manny
Yeah.
Pacquiao, for example, he was great, of course, and with all his accomplishments, but he had a whole country behind him. You know, so I feel like it's similar in Arab countries, in most Arab countries, not
That's
all, but
that's very true. We are very proud people,
yeah,
and I love taking that responsibility by raising our flag and like representing our people on the biggest stages.
yeah. So I was gonna ask you too, because another thing that you do, because you have this big fan base and everything, is like how you handle your social media. You do a lot of cooking. Like you mix your hobbies in. Or the camera went for a sec, but yeah, you show another side of you. When did you start doing that? Like, what got you into this cooking thing?
Man, I was always into cooking, like since forever. I was born and raised in a restaurant. My dad was a chef, my mom was a baker. So I was always in the kitchen next to my father. But I didn't start posting videos until like COVID time, because that's whenever
Interesting.
I started to take barbecue more serious.
Yeah,
You get bored, I got me a nice grill, and then I started to like do videos, and it was like fun, more videos, and I was like started to get more into barbecue. I got more grills, and I got more ovens, and now I got more grills than I could even handle. It's like, man, I need to I need
but
to
you're
calm down.
sponsored by one, right?
It became like this hobby, like when you collect guns or you collect shoes. I was just like collecting grills, and like I want to try this type of meat, that type of meat. I'll do like bison meat, deer meat, elk meat, beef, lamb, ribs,
Yeah,
brisket. Like, I like to try different things and recipes. And for me, it's like a distraction, but a very healthy distraction. Like sometimes I'll meal prep for the whole week. I'll just literally make steaks and meat, like ground beef and stuff, and I'll just meal prep it for the week. I was
highly
having
efficient.
fun, enjoy it. Some fighters play video games. You know what I mean? I'm not into
Yeah.
video games. Some fighters just like love to watch movies and do different things,
Hmm.
smoke weed and watch movies or whatever. For
Yeah.
me, I like to cook. I like to make videos. I think they're fun, and that's like my healthy distraction slash hobby. And I love to eat. So, yeah,
It's funny you say that, because like for me, it's like I've always loved cooking, and then COVID kind of just increased my recipes by so much. Like I just started
yeah,
experimenting
yeah,
with things. The other day, you know what I made? Do you know sayadiyya?
yes,
So I made a sayadiyya, and I mixed my both cultures. So my Dutch they have this thing with codfish called kibbeling, like that fish, and that
Yeah,
seasoning, and I mixed them too. I made a saidiyya with that type of fish dish, and it's like I start
yeah,
mixing these, fusion recipes and stuff. Yeah,
yeah. That's amazing. I need to go back right now through my Instagram save. I probably have about like 300 videos of recipes that I have saved from when I was cutting weight. I was like, all right, I'll do this after the fight.
oh
I'll
for
do this
sure.
after the fight. So I just need to go back to my Instagram saves right now and just start doing them one by one.
Yeah, but so one of the things about cooking, you probably love serving it to people, like love seeing people's reactions and eating it and everything like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, man. No, for sure.
so how do you do that when
Um,
you're trying to stay on weight, like sort of?
so I start to eat like mostly just proteins and salads. I just take out a few things, mac and cheese, like all those like nice
Yeah,
fatty sides. I just start to avoid eating them. And we have a nice thing over here, like we call ourselves the Habibis. It's not official, it's not a team, it's nothing. It's just a group of 12 guys, we train together.
yeah,
Mostly it's like a grappling crew. Possibly around, every few guys train at a different gym, but every week we train together twice a week at like a gym that we all go to, just like twice a week. So we train together. We're all close friends, and we always meet up like every weekend to watch the fights. We watch it together, and a lot of the times it's at my place, and we'll do the barbecue, and we're just like eat out. So it's like our national weekly cheat day is always on Saturday for
same
the
here.
UFC fights. We just throw some stuff on the grill and have a good time.
Is that one of the guys you had the donuts with the other day? I
Yeah,
was
he's
looking
one
at
of
the
them. Yeah,
stories.
so like,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
I
a whole
get really
group. There's a
spoiled.
whole. There's a lot of them then. These guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I'm gonna give you then on this topic because there's a lot of food in here. I'm gonna give you a little Jordanian speed round on
Let's
like
go.
your the best things about Jordan for you.
Let's
What's
go.
the best shawarma?
Ooh, man, I haven't been there in a long time, but man, there's a lot of good ones. There's and I can't remember this new. It's like this westernized shawarma, but it's like
Yes,
very clean.
because I was hoping you'd say it, man. Because I was recommended to people. So shawarma asaj,
Yes,
the
yes,
one with
aside.
the beef shawarma.
Yes, yes, they're
Ooh,
very
that's
good.
so good, man.
They're so
The
good. But it's not on like layered. They do it on the.
no, that's
Yeah,
why
but
my
it's
dad
still
always
it's
gives me
super
shit.
good. That's how I make my shawarma sometimes.
That's good. Because I'm like, I tell my father all the time, like, we buy it, and he's like, oh, but this is not real shawarma. I'm like, who cares, man? It's good.
It tastes really good, and I'm all about the taste.
The best falafel. Are you a falafel guy?
I am, but I mean, there's like a Hamuda by my house. Oh no, Abu Shbara,
Abu
100%.
Shabara, 100% always.
I like Abu Shbara.
And I the breakfast at Usra always for us because we just live close to there.
Yes, yes, yes. That
Yeah,
that that place.
yeah. Do you prefer? Well, this is a Palestinian-Jordanian thing. A mansaf or مسخن?
Mansaf, bro. I'm sorry.
You're a mansaf guy.
Like
Sorry, man.
Mansaf is just the OG, like it's just like I always
It's
eat just like mostly meat and I eat a little bit of carbs. But if
hmm
I were to like eat a dish where I would just eat the most carbs of, it would be Mansaf.
interesting. Yeah, and just like مسخن, there's a lot of oil.
A lot
Uh,
of oil and bread, like if I'm gonna eat bread, it's mostly gonna be like pizza, like something cheesy. But
yeah.
I don't like just like I'll eat msakhan, don't get me wrong, but
Sure.
I love it. I love it. But no, if you're gonna compare with mensaf, no. Like if it would have been harder if you said mensaf or matluba, and I still would
Oh,
have said mensaf. But
I
yeah.
don't know, man. For me, that'd still be maluba as well. But maybe because I can make that, and I never, you can't make it here.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. I mean I
the
have
mansaf,
I
you can't
have
really make it here.
matluba. I have matluba way more than I have mensaf, and I'm about to have mensaf this Sunday. So
Ooh, bro. I'm
yeah.
happy for. I'm happy for.
Does this make sense? I'm making a azuma, and there's
Uh,
gonna be mensaf and brisket next to each other.
man, like over there, that would make sense. I would not, but
Uh,
that's like the fusion thing that I was doing.
yeah, yeah. Not on the
Yeah.
same tray, but it's just gonna be on the
No.
same spread.
Yeah. Um, and the favorite coffee spot.
Bro, my house. I have the best
Yeah.
coffee, man. Legit. Look, let me show you.
Oh, I
I
need to see
literally have
this.
my. So I mean, it's just the regular like the espresso machine, but I mean, I
Uh-huh.
get like coffee from like the best local spots,
Ooh.
like fresh beans. Bro, I don't even do coffee spots. I mean, I got the rest of my beans up there. This is one of my favorites right here. It's like Intenso coffee. It's so good.
Hey, this is the one I was buying in California.
Yeah,
That was the one. Yeah. Just happened
Cafe
to be.
Aga is so good.
Yeah. Man, you
Yeah,
should.
yeah.
There's a lot of these local spots now in Jordan. Like these, they're coming up, and I think they're starting to do it locally, and they sell their ground coffee and everything like that. So
Yeah, man. This is
Kava,
like
I
my
think, was one of them.
stuff right here. Like you got
Oh,
all that.
oof. Is that all coffee in the back?
No, this is all
the
like
syrups.
Nutella,
Yeah, this is
spread,
like.
Biscoff. Like,
What would you stock up on if you go back home? What is something you're gonna like bring back with you that they don't
man,
sell over there?
to be honest, I don't ask for anything when I go to Jordan. Like I feel like I'm good on anything
Yeah.
except like, I love this stuff right here. The mukassarat.
Yeah.
You know, like
Balad.
the mixed nuts from Shaib, like that exact place.
Yeah.
And Turkish coffee. And if I'm running low on sumac and zit za'atar, that's it. Like that, those four, and I'm good. Like I don't think there's anything. I'm not into the candy, the soups. You
Yeah.
know, I think that's it. You give me those four, and I'm good.
Yeah, I don't have a sweet tooth either that much, but the only thing I'll
I
have
have
like
sweet tooth,
knafe,
I
like
just don't like candy. Like candy, I
no
like
candy.
chocolate.
Okay. Yeah. Chocolate and ice cream is a problem for me. Like that's it.
Yeah,
That's about it. If they had the knafe, if they had good knafe, I'll have that too.
yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna give you like a couple of fan questions then, and then can let you go if you have some
Let's
time.
go.
Just a couple. I'll do.
I got 3 minutes, bro.
3 minutes. Yeah, I'll give you. Who inspired you? Okay, K_Shanak. Who inspired you to become the fighter you are today?
My dad, to be honest, my dad always wanted to fight, and he had injuries that prevented him. And we'd watch UFC and Strikeforce together. And I'd be like, man, I'd love to fight one day. And he's like, man, if you would, I'd support you all the way. And he
Nice.
did. He did.
That's Arabic parents. Sometimes.
And that's actually one of the main reasons I want to fight UFC Abu Dhabi, so my dad can make it there.
Oh, because he's living there still.
Yeah.
Right. Hopefully, inshallah, man. Okay, I'll give you this one. After the second KO, I guess loss was it? What was your process for your mental fortitude? Did you go through a specific procedure to get on track and rack up a win streak?
Man, honestly, as cheesy as it sounds, I was just like I was like listening to motivational videos like all day, every day, as
Mm.
I was training, as I was running, because you go through different phases. Like, one moment you could be okay, you could just be like, it is what it is, I'll get better. And the other moment you're like, why me? And is this the end? Do I
Mm.
suck? Was I really lucky my whole career? And right now, like the truth came out. You just go through these different phases, and you're like,
Yeah.
no, it was a lucky shot. No, it was not a lucky shot. And for me, I just found a way to like shut up all those voices and just focus on the next move. Focus on the next 5 minutes. Focus on the next hour. Not
Mm.
focus on the next month or the next year, because I never had control of it. And the worst part about those isn't just the two losses back to back. People don't know and people don't realize. I lost in April 2019. I lost in November 2019. COVID came in like January, February 2020. So all
Yeah.
the events got canceled. I got scheduled to fight in August 2020, a whole year later, waking up every day like, I'm like, damn, this sucks. On the day of my weigh-ins, they call me right before I'm about to get on the scale, and they say your result came off positive.
Oh
Your
my
fight
God.
is canceled. I'm
Jesus.
like, seriously? When I was finally about to get a win, this happens.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. Alhamdulillah for everything. They schedule it for 2 months later. I was like, it's okay. I got right back to training really hard, and then the COVID kicked in when I was training, and I got like really bad COVID, pneumonia, like the worst ever. It's okay, whatever. I still kept going, still kept training. And then 2 weeks before the fight, I broke my zygomatic arch, which is why I have the scar right here in my head.
Oh shit.
Which like my skull was caved in. Like my skull was caved
Wow.
in. So they
Dude, that's
scheduled my
heavy.
they scheduled my surgery for the exact date of the fight that I was supposed to fight. Like I woke up that morning, like you wake up to get ready for the fight. I went to surgery, fixed my head, and then the next chance I had to fight was March 2021. And that's whenever I finally was able to fight. And I won that fight and every fight after that until now. So it was 3 years since I've won a fight. From November 2018, when I won the title, that was the last one I had, until March 2021 when I won. People just think I got knocked out twice in a row and that's it. Like, oh, you got knocked out twice in a row. And it was way worse than that. It was worse than just getting knocked out twice in a row. And I had to just dig myself out of that. Show up to the gym every day, no matter what, no matter how much it sucked. I just kept focusing on getting better. And I knew that, that kept thinking sometimes, is this a sign to stop fighting, or is this a test to keep fighting?
So many people had that.
I just get caught up between those two. I was like, is this God telling me to stop, or is this God telling me, like, let me see what you're made of, fight back?
For sure.
And that's what I just kept doing. I just kept fighting back, and alhamdulillah, everything worked out.
Well, you learned what you're made of. You made it here. Glad you didn't stop, right? And we're very proud of you. We can't wait to see you perform in the UFC, and you got an army behind you, so.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I remind myself every single time, I don't let myself forget what I've been through to get here. So it just motivates me to keep going, even harder.
For sure. And now people will hear the story and, be more behind you.
Inshallah.
Thank you. Ah, shit. The camera cut out. Okay. Hey, have a great day. Whatever you're going to do, good luck. And
thank you. Yeah, I got training.
We'll be in touch.
Yeah, I just got training.